As a native Californian, I've always wondered what it's like to live in a state that isn't overwhelmingly blue. In several swing states, the margin of votes between Joe Biden and Donald Trump was less than 1%. I asked LMU students from the new swing states, Georgia and Arizona, about this divide.
The high school I went to we actually did in 2016, we did a mock presidential election, and the popular vote at my high school was about 50-50. And it was just kind of, which I think just goes to show, I think I've generally been fairly aware that there's just a lot of people on both sides. And it just very much feels like, and typically Arizona, I think this has changed a little bit in the last 4 years, but typically Arizona's been a place where you could have pretty good discussions about some of the issues and you didn't get a lot of backlash on either side.
Almost all of the students I interviewed from these states agreed with Gray about the importance of conversations.
A lot of people who I'm super close to have very different views than I do, and I feel like it is important to listen to both sides, even if you don't agree with them.
I understand both sides and how they think, so like I can have like a rational conversation with someone that is a conservative, and like while I am mad at people that did vote for Trump, like I understand the mentality they are in, and that it takes like education and learning, not like condemning people.
If someone can talk to me about like a policy that they support in a reasonable way, I'm not going to hate them like as a person and just completely disassociate myself. Like I'm willing to have those conversations.
You know, I did have some friends who were kind of more undecided, and I was able to kind of like talk them through some like major things and what the ramifications would be.
A good example of how these conversations start, my friend and I are both amateur photojournalists, but he's a professional, I'm an amateur. And we went to one of the mining towns in Arizona, which are heavily Trump leaning. And we saw some guys that we thought were interesting at a gun club that we wanted to take pictures of. So we walked up and we said, hey, do you mind if we take pictures? And the first thing that came out of their mouths was, this isn't for Biden Weekly, is it? Which me and him were just both laughing, but then we said no, it's just for school projects and stuff like that, and we ended up having a great time with these guys. We took pictures of them. They gave us earphones so we wouldn't go deaf. They were very nice people, and I think that's the idea, is you respect the individual. And me and my friend thought it was funny as we were driving away after this, because I was like, what do you think these guys would think if we told them that we're I'm a Muslim, you're a Jew, we're both voting for Biden? How do you think they would respond?
I have never struggled with having a conversation with someone who has the polar opposite beliefs as me. And I think that's really welcomed a lot of friendships. And I have swung a bunch of people, at least for this election, to vote for what's in their best self-interest, while putting aside a lot of the misleading rhetoric that the Trump administration has pursued.
Interesting, because I think that's something that not a lot of people would be able to say. What's your magic talent? How do you swing people over?
I think a lot of what it is just making friendships before you introduce politics. Just be somebody's friend, connect with them on the things they like. I like to think I can speak on pretty much anything you want to speak about, and if I'm not well versed on the topic, I'd love to learn about it. And then later on into a friendship, you start introducing the fact that I'm a DACA recipient, or that I'm involved in these things, or that I'm personally affected by these racist policies. And then once that relationship and personal emotional attachment is established, I think it's pretty hard for someone to look in the eye and still believe these things.
Rascon Salazar isn't the only student that had hope that through conversation, it's possible to change people's minds. Some students shared advice on how to connect with people that have different points of view.
Expanding your news sources, like first off, like watch Fox News once in a while, just see like what the other side is saying and like what they're believing, because you can't combat another argument or understand their point of view without understanding the information that they think they know.
I went to two high schools. I went to one that was very, very conservative, and then I went to one that was very liberal, and I learned a lot about discourse and being able to, it was honestly more what not to do, because a lot of people were shut off, and I learned a lot about that, and I learned almost how to be more understanding through seeing a lot of people blowing off ideas that the minority may have.
A lot of people who are able to have those conversations are people who aren't fully set in their political views. I feel like a lot of people do follow what their parents do or what their parents say, or like people in their lives who are super influential on them like that. And I feel like if you actually get down to the nitty-gritty of things and are explaining things in a way that makes more sense, almost on a human level, like caring for other people and like working for people's rights who you also love, like people in your life who like would be affected by this, I feel like it's super hard not to see that in a way that's like, why wouldn't I vote for this?
You just have to show people respect. You have to say, you know, maybe we're not going to see eye to eye, but I understand that I can't really understand you.
In a country that is increasingly polarized, research shows that having political conversations with people of opposing views is going to be more and more difficult, but it also might be the key to fighting the divisiveness that we all experienced this election cycle. Veronica BP, Election 2020, Los Angeles.